Oh, third one for the night.
Yeah.
Right.
This is Thursday, which is now today.
Yeah, we'll be caught up to today when we get this one done.
Mm-hmm.
So, where to start? It started out to be a beautiful sunny day.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided that we were going to go take the ferry, the person ferry, the people ferry, back over to Paihia, and then walk to the Waitangi
Treaty Grounds.
Mm-hmm. So we did that. We got on the ferry and we took it to Paihia, and
Mm-hmm.
while we were waiting, boy, we saw some pretty boats.
Mm-hmm.
And then we walked. What did you say?
About 1.25 miles, I think.
Mm-hmm. To the treaty grounds. Why did we want to go there? You want to tell the story?
Sure. Well, it's the story of how the British, basically, the British and the Maori founded New Zealand. But basically, the British tricked the Maori. It's not funny, actually. I say that, but it's not funny. So the Maori chiefs first signed Articles of Independence back in the mid-30s.
1830s.
And then, in the 1830s. And then ended up in 1840 signing the Waitangi Treaty with the representatives of the Queen, that's Queen Victoria. And boy, in that treaty, the version that the English signed said basically the Queen owns everything. Whereas the version that they set up for the Maori to sign says that they have self-governance and that they keep their own lands. So you can tell that's a setup for problems. And it was. They had a number of years of skirmishes and fighting. And until there was finally a truce called. But the Maori really lost everything that they had.
Right, they were called the Maori Wars, right?
The New Zealand Wars.
New Zealand Wars?
Mm-hmm.
And presumably, according to a guide that we had there, the population of Maoris on the island dropped by almost 90% during that period. Anyways, we're getting ahead of ourselves, right?
No, I think we're good.
Okay. Well, so we were walking out to the council, the treaty grounds.
That part. Yes, right. Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of things being set up, and we couldn't quite figure it all out. But we went past this one place with a building that said 1840 and Waitangi, and Terry says, "Let's go check this out." Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we went, and this guy started talking to us, clearly Maori, and he had a very different take on what the government site was going to tell us when we got there.
All right.
So we listened to him for a little bit, but we were in a hurry. And so we moved on, and we got into the treaty grounds, and we had a guided tour. It was a youngish fella that was Maori, and he took us around.
Mm-hmm.
We saw a war canoe. This thing was big.
Oh my God, yeah. I carried over 100 warriors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty neat.
Mm-hmm.
What else? He took us up, and we saw the place where the treaty was signed, and he talked about some of the history of it.
And then he had people ask questions, and one of the people asked him, with all of this trickery that went on, what it's like being Maori in New Zealand. And he said, well, sure, there are lots of issues there, but he would rather be indigenous in New Zealand than in Mexico or like the United States. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Right. Because the Maori culture has a resurgence going on, and they're changing names for things, and it's really interesting. Anyways, and then we went to the ceremonial meeting house, and we had a cultural show. We elected a chief, and he accepted the offering. And they did dance and
singing.
It was really a nice show. And then we went to a museum and walked around. We probably spent about 45 minutes in the museum. And when we came out, it was 10 to 5, and the place closes at 5. And it was raining. It was raining, and Terry had to go to the bathroom. We went to the bathroom, and it was locked.
And we had a 1.25 mile walk in the rain to get back to the ferry. So I went back in and hunted for somebody to see if they could open it up. And they had just found the cleaning person who was going to open it up when their shuttle appeared outside the door. So they do shuttle people if you buy a ticket and you're around somewhere not too far from the site. They will shuttle you there. So he shuttled us back for free
all the way to the wharf.
All the way to the wharf. And Jim said he saw people walking in the rain back to the wharf. I didn't see that. But
I did. I definitely saw people that we left the museum, that we saw at the museum. And they didn't know Well, we didn't know either. They didn't get lucky enough to get the shuttle.
Yeah.
So they looked pretty miserable. Another thing that happened is while we were doing this tour, they were setting up tents and all sorts of things because Waitangi Day is coming up in just like 3 days.
Yeah, February 6th.
And today's the 2nd, right? So 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be this big celebration of the signing of the Waitangi Treaty, and and the Prime Minister is going to be here, and
thousands of people they said would be showing up.
Right.
So it'll start before the 6th, and then.
So from the time that we walked in to the grounds and the time that we left, they'd set up hundreds of flags along the road. They'd been setting up these tents, and they're going to get the war canoe out and paddle it. This is the only day of the year that they take that big canoe out. So it's going to be a big thing. But we went ahead and took the ferry back out to the hellhole of the Pacific, Russell, and had a nice dinner.
Had a nice dinner at the Butterfish.
Right.
I had fish and chips again, and they were fantastic.
And we watched the rain coming down, and we hiked back in the rain to our little camper van and realized that we'd left our windows open and the towels out in to dry out, air out. But now they're all soaking wet, and some of our bedding is a little wet too. But tomorrow we're going to move north. So until then,
Bye.
ta.
Love you.
Bye. Love you.